If you want to save a little bit of money and have more control over your archery accuracy and have better archery success, cut your own arrows. Invest in an arrow saw. You will thank me for it later because you're going to use it time and time again. Cut a couple dozen arrows, you've already paid for the saw. First thing what we're going to do though, before we even get to cutting arrows, a couple things that I use. Hearing protection, breathing protection is important when you're cutting carbon. You do not want to inhale that. And eye protection for the same reason. You don't want to get that in your eyes. So just keep those things on hand. And just like a good carpenter, measure twice, cut once. Arrows are not cheap. These things are highly accurate. They're great for bow hunting. But what I'm going to do is I take one of my older arrows that I've been shooting and I measure it to make sure that the saw hasn't moved. It's the same length that I want. Then I get to cutting the arrows. And when I do cut the arrows, the biggest problem I see with beginning archers and bow hunters is they cut those arrows too long. You don't want that arrow sticking way out past your arrow rest. It's not necessary, and it's going to be a preference thing for you, but for me it's maybe an inch past that arrow rest depending upon what type of arrow rest you have. But measure that arrow that you've been shooting, you've been having success with, and then we're going to cut our new arrows to that exact length. So if you have a saw and you've never used it, you gotta understand how these saws work before you turn the thing on and before you start cutting arrows. Again, once you cut an arrow, that arrow better be going home with you, so to speak, because you can't put it on after you cut it off. These arrow saws, basically, it's kind of like a grinding wheel, and so it's not like a circular saw. And what you wanna do is when you get that arrow into the bracket to saw the arrow, what I'm doing is I'm setting it in there, I'm gently rolling it toward the blade, and I'm letting the blade, so I'm rolling it toward the blade, I'm letting the blade catch it there, and in one motion I just keep turning it. And that's critically important, especially with carbon. If you're cutting carbon, it could fray it if you just try to shove it into that cutting wheel, and it's not going to be the end result that you want. So the thing what you want is slow and steady, get it on there, roll it toward the blade, cut it off, that end is going to pop off. You just take the arrow, pop it in. I keep a pail here, pop it into there, get my next arrow. The other thing I want to do is after I cut them, they come, most arrow boxes come with this little stone. You can pick it up for just maybe $1 or $2 at an archery shop, but that little stone helps you hone the edge and get any little burrs out of the end of the shaft after you cut it. That is important for keeping the integrity of the end of the arrow, and also when you're putting your inserts in. You're really going to thank yourself, like I said, save yourself some money, and also you're going to be able to customize that arrow length specifically to your draw length.